What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Scrap Trawlers channel, where we do EDH on a budget. I'm your host, Andy Zupke. With me, as always, is this handsome guy right up here. There you go. Up there, that guy. Nick Martin.
Am I allowed to talk yet? You told me not to talk.
You can talk. You may proceed.
We're unmuted. We're live. We're here. And we're joined by a very special guest. Hey, Colin. How's it going?
Hey, really good. I was on mute too. I think I was told to just keep my mouth shut. Andy, you're pointing the wrong way, I think. There we go. Yeah, it's going really good.
Good, yeah. So, this is our first Scrap Chat with a guest. Let's hope we don't screw it up. I hope we don't make him mad. And
You invited the wrong person if you didn't want this to get screwed up.
Well, that's good. Then we can all just screw up together and it'll be harmony, I guess. I don't know. All right, Nick, why don't you tell everybody what we're doing tonight?
We are doing another treasure hunt through the last, well, not the last set, but we haven't covered Nemesis in Mercadian Mass Block yet. So we're doing that. Treasure hunt is, we're going to look through all of the cards on Card Kingdom in the set, all the rares, I should say. And we're going to look at anything that costs 3 USD or less that we think should, maybe see a little more in play. Maybe you've got a bunch of stinkers. Maybe they're all artifacts that don't actually do anything. Which we're going to find out.
We've seen a lot of those in old sets, haven't we? Like 5 or 6 mana cost artifacts that just do nothing.
If you don't play any spells, you can think about drawing a card. Like, okay, light card draw, whatever.
Sacrifice all your creatures, draw 1 card.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, it should be good. All right, so what we're going to do is we are going to scroll through Card Kingdom here. I've filtered it to show only rares, and I've sorted it by price, highest to lowest. And we generally start around the $3 mark. So, Nick...
Wait, before we do that...
What?
Do we want to talk about Nemesis?
Oh, yeah, go ahead. You got that pulled up?
I do,
get the
because
wiki?
I just remembered it right before you started. Like, oh no.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Very professional here at Scrap Trawlers.
Is this the 3rd worst set ever?
I don't know. I guess we'll find out. So,
Yeah.
Nemesis, the expansion symbol is the Axe of Krovax, the main antagonist of the story's Wrath component. I don't know what that means. It continues Mercadian Mass themes of Spell Shapers. There we go. That's it. No, it's also got Rebels and Mercenaries, and cards with alternative casting costs. It is considered to be the most powerful set in the Masks block. Apparently, a card of note is Ascendant Evinkar. It's the first card to represent the same legendary permanent as a previous card following a major change in the character storyline. Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, that actually came up on Good Morning Magic when they did the black cards for Time Spiral.
Cool.
So yeah, apparently, I guess that is Krovax, just with a different name. It was apparently to skirt the legendary rule, but I guess they got rid of that. Cool. And that's pretty much it as far as like getting into the nitty gritty of it. So no notes about like how, hey, this set is like just as bad as Homelands. Maybe don't buy it.
I in an effort to research for the show, I was gonna buy a booster pack of Nemesis, and it turns out the booster pack is more expensive than the most expensive rare in the set, and so I did not do that.
Yikes! You get like Tangle Wire or some like $19 card.
That's Tangle Wire was like 17 and the booster pack was 18.
Probably not worth it.
Perfect.
I don't think there's any. I don't recall seeing any like chase uncommons in this set either. When I was doing my research, like I think Prophecy had Rhystic Study, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think there's anything in here that was an uncommon that kind of blew up. So yeah,
No.
you're not gonna get your money's worth if you buy a pack of Nemesis. Okay.
All right. So interrupting set explanation is now over. We can continue.
All right. Well, so we normally start at $3, and yesterday Blinding Angel was $3. Today it jumped up to $3.50. Why? I don't know.
We spiked
because
because
I bought one.
You bought one?
So
somebody bought this. Let's raise the price.
Yeah, so instead of buying a booster pack, I did buy these cards from Nemesis, which are part of like my grading, which is like, this is good enough for me to buy it, and I spent a total of like $5, and it's awesome.
You got Colin going on like our Wall Street Bets Magic version.
Oh yeah.
All right, well, Colin, you are the guest, so you go ahead and read the first card. Kick us off here with Blinding Angel.
Blinding Angel. I'm going to read the one. This was in one of my, yes, I should buy this card. Blinding Angel is a 3 white flying angel. Whenever Blinding Angel deals combat damage to a player, that player skips their next combat phase. 2/4. So I was super excited about this card because I have an Angel Tribal deck, and taking away someone's combat step could be seriously disruptive, especially if they're a combat deck, which a lot of mine are. So when I read it, I was like, this would absolutely mess me up so bad.
Hey, Shauna, thanks for joining us.
Hey.
Nick, what do you think of Blinding Angel?
So, Stonehorn Dignitary, I think it's like an all-star in Pauper, if it's even legal. I have no idea how Pauper works. I know it's a common, though. And that's just on an ETB. This is like a more aggro version of that, where you can just have players skip their combat phases. If you give this thing Double Strike, do they skip their next 2 combat phases? I don't know, but I'm interested to find out.
Well, because they only have one next combat phase, right? But I guess if they skip it, does that mean it? I mean, if they skip it, it still exists, right? So it would still be their next combat phase. I'm just trying to logic this out. I don't actually know.
Next combat phase comes up, and the first one resolves, and next combat phase triggers it, right? So it's a delayed trigger. Next combat phase happens, and then you have 2 triggers on the stack, and they both resolve, I think, before that happens.
Okay, I got it.
This is
anti-Morog tech. So all you Morog players out there, watch out for Blinding Angel. You're going to take no combat phases.
I'm not a judge. Don't listen. I'm just trying to think it out of my head.
So this is in 600 decks on EDH Rec. I'm not in love with it. I feel like it's a 2/4 for 5 mana. I mean, I guess it flies, but 2 power isn't, great. Well, I guess the amount of power doesn't really matter. What matters is that you're getting through.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in Lyra, it's a 3/5 lifelink, which shuts down somebody. But mostly, you're thinking if somebody in your meta is a Morag deck, right? If you have someone who's just super aggressive and likes to win through combat, you slot this in, right? You're gonna play with that person, and if they take out the right deck, then it can be a fun hoser.
Yeah, but all they have to have is 1 flyer to block it.
Well, we know that most people don't have flyers. At least in a budget meta. Let's look at it through a budget lens, right?
What?
Combat is the main way to take out players in the budget meta, right? If you lock out somebody's combat, you're pretty much going to survive until the very end of the game, right?
Yeah, I guess. If you can lock... I mean, but you can only do it to 1 player.
Well, that's fine. Like, you just put it on the aggro player, like, who's playing, I don't know, some red-green elf jerk and, can't attack for Voltron damage, and you can't win the game. I don't know. I'm saying in a budget meta, you could do a lot worse. Yes, yeah. Shauna, it is mean, and that's why I love it.
Well, I think I would run this in Angel Tribal, but probably not anywhere else.
Angel Tribal, going in.
To be honest.
Andy is playing Angel Tribal for our next Tribal episode. Apparently.
No, I just did Kalia. I'm not going to do Angels again.
That had dragons in it.
And demons, but it is still partial. Oh, yeah. All right, let's move on.
Yeah.
All right, Nick, you want to read this one?
Sure. So we have Rootwater Thief, which is an invitational card. It is Mike Long's invitational card.
I don't know what that means.
It's whenever somebody wins like a World Tour Invitational, I don't know. Well, if you're a good Magic player, sometimes you get to design cards. I don't think they do that anymore. But...
Really? Because they've never called me, and I'm pretty good.
Anyway, so Rootwater.
Hey!
So it's a 1/2 for 1 and a blue. Merfolk Rogue doesn't show it on there, but it is a rogue. You can pay a blue, give it flying, and whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you may pay 2. If you do, search that player's library for a card and rip it out of there. Rip it in half.
Get it out.
And shuffle their library. So, when this got eroded to Merfolk Rogue, a lot of people were talking about this for the new Anawan commander deck that came out.
Yeah.
Which is actually like really good. So you just, you mill them for 2, make them lose life. You also rip out like one of their combo pieces if you know what they're playing. In a familiar meta, this is really good. I actually had this at one point. I think I threw it away. I don't know what I did with it, but I miss it. It's actually
threw it away.
Card. I don't know. I lose a lot of cards like in my car and through the drive-through and wherever.
Couldn't you at least recycle it? It is cardboard.
It was cardboard.
You monster.
Now it's a nap. No, but I can also see this being good in Q meta. Is that what it is?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so just make it huge. It has natural. You can give it evasion. I like it for less than $3. If you have combo players in your familiar meta, try this out.
Yeah, I have a Kumena deck, Merfolk Tribal, and I was like, flying Merfolk, this is amazing. The other note I had here, and it came up earlier because there is some other cards in this set that exile cards from other players' libraries, is the if anyone is playing Eldrazi Processors, this gives you an opportunity to exile somebody's cards so that you can play them later.
I like it.
Yeah, I guess so.
Thinking with your head.
Yeah.
So the Rootwater Thief is in 551 decks. Unfortunately, it is unplayable over webcam.
Yep.
But definitely powerful. I think it's good in decks where you just want to wipe your opponent's decks from the game. So I thought of like Circu, Dimir Lobotomist would be good.
Yeah.
So this card is actually in 38% of SIG River Guide decks. Because SIG says, I think it's pay a white mana, target merfolk gains protection from a color until end of turn.
Oh, the Azorius one, not the other one.
Yeah, not the Dimir one, the Azorius one. Yeah. So you can pretty much guarantee to get it in every turn if you got SIG out. So that makes sense. It's only two CMC, so I don't know. I think
Andy,
it's worth.
It's now called mana value.
It's 2 MB.
It's only 2 MB. So yeah, it's worth running once we start playing face to face again. It's I didn't know that it was a rogue, so I might put it in my Tazri party deck.
Hey, there you go.
The art is super cool too.
It is cool. I would like to know what exactly gives it flying until end of turn. Is it like
there's
got those wings there? Like it only works occasionally.
Well, flying fish can only do it for like a minute, and then they're back down.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. So our next card I will read is Belby's Portal. So this is a 5-mana artifact, which we've been seeing a lot of really bad 5-mana artifacts in these treasure hunts, but this one's actually decent. So as it enters the battlefield, you choose a creature type. So it's good for tribal decks. Pay 3 and tap it. You may put a creature card of the chosen type from your hand onto the battlefield. This is in 1,258 decks, which is, I believe, the highest.
It's going to be in 1,259.
Oh, there it is! So this is definitely the most played of the cards that we are going to be looking at tonight. This is one that I've tried to make this work. I think a couple times, and it's just, even though it's good, the mana cost is still just like it just nudges it out of my decks whenever I try to do it. Colin, you seem to like it. What are you gonna try it in?
I have a demon tribal deck, Grixis demons, and like every creature in the deck is 6 to 9 mana or something. So there's a couple of like things to sacrifice, like Squee or something like that. But this is also really cool for things like tribal. With Maskwood Nexus is the new card, right? Like give all of your creatures every creature type. It doesn't matter what you name. But all of my decks are tribal decks, and all of my creatures are high CMC creatures because I can't take away that sweet 6 mana plus cut. I usually just cut something in the middle and suffer for it. So this will help.
Nice. Nick, have you played this?
This was a card back when I first started playing in 2009, 2010. This was in a lot of tribal decks. To Colin's point and Shauna's point in chat, this is a lot better with tribes that have higher converted mana costs, like demons and vampires and dragons and angels. And if you think about it, say when it comes into play, if you pay 8 mana to play that 8 mana dragon, you're not really missing much. And every turn after that, you're actually getting the discount. So I don't think this is a card that people should overlook, especially if you're doing like a dragon tribal deck, and that's a popular tribe.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like if you put this in Dragon, and that's a 5-color deck anyway, and this is colorless, so you don't have to worry about having a chromatic lantern or anything like that.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, and it's in 1200 deck, so it's not exactly underplayed, so a lot of people know about it. All right. Moving on. Here we go. Colin, you get this one.
Yeah, Divining Witch for 1 and a black. It is a creature spell shaper. It's a 1/1, and it has a tap ability for 1 and a black tap, discard a card, name a card, exile the top 6 cards of your library, and then reveal the top cards from your library until you reveal the name card. Put that card in your hand, exile all other cards revealed this way. So this is like for people who don't know Demonic Consultation, this is Demonic Consultation on a 1/1 body, so it's a backup plan in a lot of CEDH decks. I have this in my Phoenix self-mill deck for the same reason. You name a card that's not in your deck, like Black Lotus, or if you're lucky enough to have a Black Lotus, you name Belby's Portal, and with this is, you do that with Thassa's Oracle trigger on the stack, so you get rid of your whole library and then you win the game. So it's a quick combo card. I was really surprised that it was so cheap. I think we looked it up before the show, and Demonic Consultation is at like $28 or something.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it is key for that. It can also find a combo piece for you, but the downside is if it's in that top 6 cards, or that card that you needed was in the top 6 cards and you exile it, you're not getting it back.
Yeah.
Yep. It's fun though.
So this is in 296 decks on EDH Rec. Like you said, Demonic Consultation on a creature. So obviously it's quite a bit less good, because Demonic Consultation is a 1 mana instant, so you can do it whenever, whereas this dude, you got to play it and you got to hope that it lasts until your next turn so you can actually activate it. So there's a lot of drawbacks to this one, but if you're playing on a budget and you just gotta really self-mill, this is not a bad choice. Nick, anything to add on that?
Right? 1, it's a spell shaper, so it's automatically great, in my opinion. 2, it's a witch, so I'm already playing it in my Tribal Witches deck. It is in 100% of Tribal Witch decks because I play the only one.
That you know of.
That's right. Because the other ones were exiled in the top 6. You'll never see them again.
Right.
Alright, moving on. We've got our first legend here.
Yeah, it is Lynn Civi, Defiant Hero. It is a 1/3 for 1 and double white Rebel Legend Human Rebel. I think it's a human. Human Rebel. You can pay X, tap it, search your library for a Rebel card with CMC X or less, and put it into play. And you can pay 3 to put a Rebel card from your graveyard on the bottom of your library. So this got a lot better when Lorwyn, Shadowmoor, Block, came out. I don't know if it's better with Kaldheim, but anything that's a changeling, it doesn't have to be a rebel. You can just kind of tutor it out, which is pretty sweet. There are a lot of rebel permanents, I believe, too. There's like an Oblivion Ring or a Pacifism that's a rebel card, which is pretty sweet. I've seen some old posts on MTG Salvation when that was big. I don't know if that site even exists right now, but there was like some sweet Linsivvy primer that I saw, and that deck looks like it did work. So if you're looking for like a weird mono white legend to build around, I do like Civvy. I would give you respect for running it.
Yeah, this is another one I picked up, and for me it's because of Changeling and Tribal, and I think at this point I just need to build the tribal deck, like Tomer, Budget Commander, has a tribal deck, and there's so many just like sweet cards like this where it's just like find whatever card you want in your deck because it's of every creature type and put it onto the battlefield.
Yeah, so this is this leads 127 decks. It's in 211. Yeah, like you said, it seems really decent to me if you're doing tribal, with like if you're playing a lot of shapeshifters in your tribal deck. I think, I don't know, rebels by themselves don't really excite me. Maybe they should bring that back at some point. Do you think that would be good to bring back, or do you think that's kind of dumb?
I'm also not a fan of the rebels. I mean, they need a cause. The card I was thinking about was Maskwood Nexus. Maskwood Nexus makes Linsivvy entirely as your commander.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Moving on. I shall read this thing.
I shall read this, I declare.
Forsooth. Parallax Tide, Fading 5. So it's not, there's no reminder text on this card, but it enters the battlefield with 5 fade counters on it. At the beginning of your upkeep, remove a fade counter from it if you can't sacrifice it. Okay, so it's got an activated ability, remove a fade counter from it, remove target land from the game. When it leaves play, each player returns to play all cards he or she owns removed from the game with Parallax Tide. So this is in 402 decks, which is actually a lot more than I would have thought. I just don't really know what this card does that makes it worth running. Like, because, I mean, you're exiling a land temporarily, but the more lands you exile, the sooner they come back.
Oh, no. Think about this. Think about a Traxa proliferate deck.
Sure.
And I mean, this is blue mass land destruction. This is my meanest card in the set. It doesn't. You take away lands and just keep proliferating and keep eating people's lands until they find enchantment destruction. This thing isn't going away. There's Sean is giving me a tisk in chat. There's things that double the number of counters on permanents and stuff like that. Whatever it is.
Yep.
I think that this card can be abused. There's no reason to put it in your deck in a casual meta. There's absolutely abuse that can go on. Meanest card in the set. Did not buy this set because that's not my style, but I can see the dark side with this card.
Well,
I disagree.
You're apparently too mean, Colin, because it's not getting played in Atraxa. Most let's got Brago is 7%, and that's the only thing that's like worth mentioning.
Okay, I got you. So, I want you to look at this card.
I did. Yep.
All right.
I'm looking.
Now I want you to think of a certain green-blue landfall matters commander.
Tatiova?
Exactly. This is kind of like a mini mono blue Scapeshift. This is 5 landfall triggers on your upkeep.
Wow.
Yeah, so you play it down, right? Right before it gets to your turn, you exile 5 of your lands. On your upkeep, those lands come back, you get 5 landfall triggers.
Okay.
Tip my hat to you
All
on
right.
that one.
Yep, I get.
So
yep.
so pay 4, draw 5, gain 5 life.
Yeah, and then draw for turn.
Yeah.
You can make a million Scoot Swarm, tokens. You can do whatever you want.
Scoot
like,
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
Because like you see this and you think stacks, right? Like that's the first thing I thought of. I'm like, oh wait a minute, this says any land, so I can target my own. Like I always look at cards like that. Like how can I gimp myself to make sure this card like does something cool? And that was like, oh, I can just do landfall. That's how I think of cards.
Yeah. All right.
I was obviously on the wrong side of that one.
So
what can
was
I do
I.
with this card?
My friends.
Mass land destruction.
Yeah, no, that's a very good good call on that. This is great for Tatiova. Well done, Nick. You can stay on the show.
Oh, thanks. As you can see, Colin is wearing plaid, so he is truly the plaid.
Plaid.
He's trying to steal your thunder. All right.
Is this one me?
That's you, Colin.
We have a Rising Waters, 3 and a blue for an enchantment. Lands don't untap during their controller's untap steps. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player untaps a land he or she controls. This was in line, and maybe Nick found something really cool to do with it with Tatiova, but I just wrote good in Urza, great in artifacts deck, untap 1 land, do not like.
No, this is a Chris card, and when I say that, I mean this is a mean card for mean people, and I don't want to play this
card. Hey Sully in chat, thanks for hanging out. So this is in 607 decks, which is actually quite a bit. And it's got one of those on EDH Rec. It's got one of those little salt icons.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So it's not something I'd be interested in running, but it is most popular in Derevi, which is a commander that says whenever you deal combat damage with a creature, you can untap something, tap or untap something. So if you're hitting with creatures a lot, you can untap all your lands while everybody else is screwed. Which sounds like a lot of fun, right?
Yeah.
Right?
That's not the F word I was thinking of, for sure.
So, good card, not good card.
Okay, so...
Yeah.
All right, it looks
good for the other table that I'm not sitting at.
So apparently I missed this card in my notes, so I don't know how many decks this is in, but Nick, this is yours.
Cool. So we got Ether Barrier. It is a 2 and a blue enchantment. Whenever a player casts a creature spell, sack a permanent unless you pay 1. So kinda stacksy, a little taxy, if you will. You could
little staxy,
if you're playing
little
reassembling
taxy,
skeleton
little
or anything
sexy.
that cares about you sacrificing creatures, like what is that? Kel's Fight Fixer.
Mm-hmm.
You pretty much like play a creature. You want to sacrifice stuff anyway, so you let a creature die, and then you use that one to draw a card. So that's the first thing I thought of. Other than that, I would say this falls more on like it's kind of a salty card, right? It's gonna piss off your friends more than it's probably gonna help you.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
Colin, what do you got for this one?
Well, I would say it's not a salty card. I would say it's a crabby card.
No.
I have best art award for this one. I love whatever this thing has going on over here. Also, yeah, stacks SUCKSs. But also, I was told to keep it PG-13. I don't know if that word is okay. But Stacks stinks really bad. But I also have a note here. Belby is hardcore. Flavor quote. She has a lot of flavor text in this set, and this one is awesome. Creatures fade in and out of existence. It's an unfortunate side effect. The losses are tolerable. And I was like, whoa, do not mess with Belby. So I wouldn't want to play this card. I don't like it. I wouldn't want to see it on the other side of the table, except that cute little weird headless.
It looks like it's smiling, doesn't it?
Yeah, like it's got like the little eyes. But its shoulders are above its face.
Crying. Like its mouth isn't even like centered properly.
Yeah.
Tomato.
I looked this up quick on EDHREC. It's in 496 decks.
Ooh.
Most popular is almost 9% of Grand Arbiter Augustin the Fourth decks, which is,
because of course it is.
Because that's what you do. If you're gonna do it, just do it, right?
If you're playing Grand Arbiters, you're a commander. You're a cop.
Zuby's got one.
Literally.
Yeah,
I'll let Zuby know.
Zuby about that one.
If I ask you 3 times, you have to tell me. That's the rule, right?
Do you have the crab in your deck? The shoulder crab. Do you have the shoulder crab in your deck? Do you have the shoulder crab? Okay. We're okay.
All right. Moving on. Our next one here is Sepperling Burst. I will read this one. So this has fading 7. Remove a fade counter from Sepperling Burst. Put a green Sepperling creature token into play. It has this creature's power and toughness are each equal to the number of fade counters on Sepperling Burst. When Sepperling Burst leaves play, destroy all tokens put into play with Sepperling Burst. They can't be regenerated. So let's see. This is in 346 decks. It's in 17% of Slimefoot decks, which is obviously where my mind went first with this, because that makes the most sense, because you want lots of tokens that die. I actually thought that was a little low, but the CMC is, the MV is a bit high, so that's probably what's keeping it down a little bit. I think it would be decent in like a Gruul deck with Perforos out, because that's like 14 damage you can do.
Ooh, that's a good call.
Immediately, but I don't know. What do you guys think?
Colin, I'll let you take this one.
I was thinking one of my favorite things to do with a bunch of little tiny creatures is to devour them. So I had like Mycoloth written as like, okay, I can get like this out onto the battlefield, maybe do like one out there, or don't even remove any of the fade counters, and then on my next turn get like 6 of them out there, or 5 of them out there, and then all of a sudden you feed your Mycoloth, which is going to pump out, I don't know how many tokens that is, but yeah, definitely tokens deck, and they're going to die. The weird thing is that it doesn't say sacrifice them, so could you make them indestructible? Like if it said creatures you control are indestructible?
So
yeah, you could play that with
you would have to have a lord. You would have to have a lord, right?
Have some way to, so
if
they don't...
they're 0/0,
right,
they're gone. But if you had some kind of lord and indestructibility or counters, every time a creature enters the battlefield, put a counter on it or whatever. What is that? Grumgully? Does Grumgully put counter? No, that's non-token, right?
I think so.
No, Grumgully is non-human.
Yeah. So like maybe Grumgully and some indestructibility, get that going. Everything that I think of as dream scenarios, but these are the dreams that I like.
Eldrazi Monument will do that just fine. If the power boost gets it flying indestructible, and you can just go to town with your new flying fungus buddies.
Yeah. Grumgully, doesn't say anything about tokens, so you're good to go with that one. Yeah, that's really good. That's good tech for that. Yeah, I think this definitely has to go in a Gruul deck. I was thinking just now, Warstorm Surge.
Oh yeah.
So you pull the first one off, you get a 6/6, right? So that's going to deal 6 damage. Pull the next one off, you get a 5/5. You do 5 damage, and so on all the way down the line.
Green burn.
Yeah. Sully in chat says Grand Warlord Rada or Renata. Renata is the one that says each creature comes in with a +1/+1 counter. So this is actually we found a lot of good things to do with this card.
Yeah, one more thing I just thought of. You can also just get 7 death triggers for free.
Yep.
So if you're looking to play budget Marin. This is 7 death triggers, so you're gonna get 7 what is it called? Experience counters.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
I like that.
All right, I think this is a good card.
Ooh, my Marin deck. Yeah, perfect.
There we go.
All right, we'll skip this next one. That's just a foil version
But
of
look,
Well,
it's
it's also in the set as a.
Yeah, we'll come back to it later.
Okay, all right.
This is only this high up because of the foil.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah. All right. Here's our next legend.
Yes, Ascendant Evankar. We talked about this right at the beginning, or was that before we started?
Yeah, that was right at the beginning. It's supposed to be Krovax.
Yeah, so this is Krovax. There's a Krovax quote. Things are going to change around here. Because he literally changed, right? Became evil. This was a story on Good Morning Magic on like 2 days ago when they did the black cards for or white cards, I think it was, because they were talking about Krovax, the Hero Ascendant, which does this for 6 mana. White creatures you control get +1/+1. Non-white creatures you control get -1/-1. I'm going too far ahead of myself. This one is 4 black. It's a legend. I don't have the creature type down. Do you have that?
I can
creature
find
type
it.
is evil.
Evil.
No, it isn't.
No, I don't have it.
Other black creatures get +1/+1. Non-black creatures get -1/-1. Oh, it's a vampire. I did write it down. I wrote it down. Look at that. I just didn't look at my notes. So a couple things that I really want to do with this card: a 3/3 flying vampire for 6 mana, but it pumps your team if you're in vampires. I know we're talking Commander. If anyone here didn't know, I'm also an avid Oathbreaker player, and Sorin Impervious Bloodlord that can just put down a vampire onto the battlefield from your hand for its -3 ability. So it has 4 loyalty, -3, put a vampire into the battlefield from your hand. So you basically have a 3 mana 6/6, 3 mana 3/3 flying lord that gives a sort of ethereal absolution effect, the Ravnica Allegiance enchantment. I really like that. So Vampire Tribal, Oathbreaker, if you're playing Oathbreaker, it slots into both of those, and it's a nice little effect.
Well, I don't think this is as good as Ethereal Absolution, because that says creatures your opponents control get -1/-1, right?
I mean, it's close enough, you know.
Unless they're
one
playing
of your
black
opponents
too.
is playing black, right? Like, okay. But
I mean, black is one of the 5 most popular colors, so.
That is true. That is true. I'm the person who plays Coat of Arms and pumps everyone else's board more than my own. So I'm here for the plus side.
All right, so Ascendant Evankar.
We have Ethereal Absolution at home. Yeah, this is Ethereal Absolution.
Yes, thank you, Sully. So this leads 36 decks on EDH Rec. It probably is. I mean, it's fine if you're doing like some sort of mono black go wide deck, but except you gotta worry about people showing up on Colin's camera. And
my lovely wife, everybody. Thank you. Sorry.
Hello, lovely wife.
I'm being summoned for 1 minute, so I might miss the next white card.
Okay.
But I want to be here for the red card. I'll be right back.
You got it. Okay.
Thank you.
But I think 6 mana for a 3/3 is just it's too much, regardless of what this kind of maybe okay ability is. 6 mana for a 3/3 is just not. That's not good.
So I tried pulling this up in Scryfall to see what the creature type was, and it automatically brought up the Portuguese version. So it is Evankar Ascendente. It's like al dente. It's also a Vampiro, which is sweet.
Vampiro, my hero.
So while we're waiting for Colin, let's talk about the art here, right? Like, this dude's coming back from D-Day, walking up on the beach. He's built like a DBZ character where his like arms are bigger than his head. And there's like this giant vulture in the background. Do you see that? Like, what is that supposed to be?
Well, it's eating something. It's eating something. It's eating something that's... It almost looks like a seal or something that's on like dead on the beach, and it's like eating the seal's brains or something.
Oh yeah. But yeah, this is like the one where the axe is supposed to be the set symbol.
Yeah, except it's like upside down in his hands. It's not matching with the the logo.
No. I want a refund.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on, and we can tackle this next one without Colin.
Yeah.
All right. You wanna? Whose turn is it? You wanna read this?
I'll take this one.
Okay.
So we got Spiritual Asylum. It's 2 and double white for an enchantment. Creatures and lands you control have Shroud. Whenever a creature you control attacks, sacrifice it. Card's fantastic. If you don't plan on ever attacking at all, like if your goal is to win with, what is it? Azor's Elocutors or something like that. This is a sweet way to like protect your board and get your plan done. I like this card a lot. I actually own this card. One of the very few I own from Nemesis.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't think I would play this just because I like attacking a lot. It's in 331 decks, which is kind of a lot considering that there's not that many places that this can go. I mean, it's white, and white wants to attack, you know, unless you're in like Azorius, which is obviously whatever. But I don't know. I just shutting down my combats. Well, I guess it doesn't shut it down. It just makes the card useless.
Well, I mean, you can still attack. It just goes away.
Yeah.
So if you want to build up your board and make sure that your Alpha Strike is actually worth doing, this is a nice way to do it. I don't think it's entirely useless, and if you have a way to like loop enchantments, something to consider. Not good if you're doing any sort of Voltron because it gives your stuff Shroud and you can't really do anything about it. I'm trying to think of a way where the lands part matters. I was thinking of Noyan Dar, but you want to, target your lands. So
yeah, you want to target your lands. Yeah.
I was thinking of like Merit Lage combos, but you can't like remove the counters from it with Vampire Hexmage. And once you attack with Merit Lage, it goes away.
You can still Ether Snap though.
That is true. Yes. But yeah, maybe not so much for the lands part, but I think for the creatures, again, if you're trying to do like a non-combat victory, this is a good way to do it.
Okay. Colin, do you have any thoughts on Spiritual Asylum? Did you buy it?
I did not buy this card, but I think that if you're trying to do something like win with Azor's Elocutors, the filibuster counter, like just get some blockers, get that out onto the battlefield, put some filibuster counters on it, and no one can target it, then you're okay. Yeah, this is the edge case that I have for this card.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly what Nick said too. I couldn't when I was doing my notes, I couldn't think of anywhere I would want to put this, but yeah.
Yeah, Sean in chat saying this would be good in the Teysa sacrifice deck. Yeah, good point there too. If you're doing aristocrats and you're not targeting your creatures with the Viserys Seer effects, this is a nice way to protect your board.
Yeah, totally.
Except for board wipes.
Well, you just sack them all. It's fine.
All right. Okay. Colin, you were excited about this one. You want to read it?
Oh my god. Stronghold Gambit. Yeah. Stronghold Gambit, 1 and a red. Sorcery. Each player chooses a card in their hand. Then each player reveals their chosen card. The owner of the creature card revealed this way with the lowest converted mana cost puts that card into play. If 2 or more creature cards are tied for lowest cost, those cards are put into play. So if you tie, both or 3 or however many people tie get to put the card into play. And when I got invited to do this, I opened up Nemesis and I saw this card and I was like, oh, Valky, how is this card not spiked already? $10, $15, $20. Put a 7-mana Planeswalker into play. You reveal Valky for 2 mana, and it says you may play this card. And I was like, oh, no one knows about it yet. Nobody knows about it. We're gonna blow the roof off of this thing. I was thinking for the planar bridge. Is it? I don't even have my notes. Asika, right? Like.
Oh no, he froze. He was getting so excited too.
Maybe he's gonna end the story with, and then I realized that.
I'm so good. Well. And then I realized, and then I realized, and then I realized, and then I realized. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh. And then it was weird because I could see and hear you and all this stuff, but I was still going. I was like, I don't care. I don't care if I dropped off the stream. This is the craziest card. And then I realized, no, I actually reached out to a judge friend, Chris Kelzam, and Kelzam Gaming on Twitter. Got to burst my weird looking beehive bubble. On whatever this art is, but this is, as soon as I saw it, I was like, okay, this is what spurred the purchase of cards, which was like, if it does that, I want this card, and if it doesn't, I need to figure out something to do with it. And I might have a note or two on it, but I'd like to hear what you guys think. So
the shortened version of that story is that the judge said, no, it doesn't work. You can't put. You can't put Tibalt into play.
This one the one that got away award, but I did have one thing. Subira, 2-power tribal. Subira is a commander that allows your 2-power creatures to be unblockable, and if they get in, you get a bonus.
Okay.
So
okay, but here's the thing, though. Here's why this card is just garbage. Okay. Even if you win this little gambit thing, you still paid 2 mana for your creature.
For 2/2.
You still paid mana for that creature. In fact, if you picked a 1-mana creature, you overpaid. This is really bad. This is really bad.
I have one more dream.
Okay.
One more dream for you.
Come on. Okay. Let's hear it.
All right, you're playing an Izzet deck that has a bunch of small creatures for whatever reason. You finally broke a 25-cent commander. You have an Izzet deck that wants to play a bunch of little creatures, and you cast this card, and with it on the stack, you cast Sudden Substitution, and you give this to someone else, and you take their big creature, and then you get to put your 2/2 into play too.
What?
So
you lost me there.
I got Sudden Substitution says you trade a
spell for a creature.
Spell for the creature, but you're the one that wants this spell, but it says each player, so whoever gets control of this spell, it doesn't matter. You're taking their big creature and
I see now.
Also potentially winning the Stronghold Gambit.
That's a big hoop to jump through to get this awful card to be knocked off. No,
I tried so hard.
I got 2 easier ones, I guess. I was gonna say Alessia, who smiles at death, but now that I'm saying it out loud, I don't really care.
No.
If you wanted to play Vadrok as your commander, this is a way to potentially cast your cheap creatures that you're bringing back with like Teshar anyway from your graveyard. So if you mutate onto a creature with a Vadrok, mutate trigger, happens. Yeah, I'm stealing your mutate love.
Thank you. I love it.
You target Stronghold Gambit with Vadrok's ability. You get to cast it, and you're gonna have something cheap that you want to bring back anyway. Like, let's say like Mirseer, whatever you want to call it. No one's gonna have like a 2-mana creature in their hand, and if you do, that's fine, because then you both get them. I agree with you, Andy. I don't like this card.
I don't like it. I was so excited about it, and now it's garbage, and it will just sit in my...
I'm so glad you bought it.
It could be okay.
All right. Moving on. Okay, I think I will read this one. Mana Cash. Johnny Cash, Mana Cash. 1 red for an enchantment. At the end of each player's turn, put a charge counter on Mana Cash for each untapped land that player controls. Remove a charge counter from Mana Cash. Add 1 colorless mana to your mana pool. Any player may play this ability, but only during his or her turn before the end phase. This is one of those that I had to read like 5 times before I finally understood what it did. So this one's really interesting. I think more than like almost any other card I can think of aside from like Pramicon, this card really makes turn order matter a lot.
Big time.
Because it can totally hose the control players who are holding up mana for counter spells, because then they're just feeding the person to their left, you know?
One person to their
no
left.
mana leaks here.
But if that person to their left doesn't use up the counters, then it goes to the person on their left, you know? But it's only colorless mana, so you might not run out.
Time out.
What?
If it goes to the person on their left, there's no such thing as mana burn. Why doesn't the person on their left just remove the counters anyway and just let the mana float?
I suppose they could, yeah.
Yeah, so that was my note. It's only good for one person, the person after the control player, and they just remove the counters if they can't use them.
Right. Yeah, I suppose.
And if you're not that person, then you've wasted a card to your lock maybe like mana burn.
Yeah, so this is actually in 10% of your lock decks. So that's where it does make sense, but I don't know where else you would play this, but it's interesting to think about.
You would have to like mind slaver somebody and your lock them, because they can only do it on their turn, and they don't have to if they don't want to.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm. That's all you got, Nick, is just
This card gets worse than Stronghold Gambit.
No, it's not that bad.
Yeah, this is one of those cards where, like, I like thinking outside the box, but the more I look at this card, like, the worse it gets.
Okay.
Just, there's so many restrictions, and while it can be fun, you know, for multiplayer, if you're trying to help, you know, another person out and gain some political favor, there are better cards for that. Sure. For example, Victory Chimes will always do what you want it to do, and it will untap on everybody's turn.
All right.
And it's also colorless. So, yeah, I don't know.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to page 2 of the rare.
We did it. We got through the first page.
Woohoo.
Yeah, we only got 25 cards left. Okay.
We're almost out of Mercadian Mass block.
We're almost there. Yep. Nick, I think you're up.
Cool. This is a card that I played in one of my very first commander decks. It is Predator Flagship. It's 5 mana artifact, legendary artifact. You can pay 2 to give a creature flying until end of turn, and you can pay 5 and tap it to destroy a target creature with flying. So I had this in a mono green deck. I don't remember who the commander was. Maybe it was Thrun, last roll. Anyway, back in the day, having single target removal was kind of frowned upon, because everybody was like, oh, if you're not running like a billion board wipes, like you're losing value, and it's a weird time in EDH. Predator Flagship got away with it because it was repeatable, and it also gave your creature some sort of evasion. And playing it in mono green, you know, your creatures don't have flying, so it's hard to block flyers unless you have reach, like a spider. It also gives your big old creatures evasion, so if you need to get in there for damage, you can do it. For, what is it? It's 80 cents near mint. If you're looking to, like, get some cheap budget repeatable removal for your mono green deck, this isn't bad.
You know I was. This is my wife, everybody, enjoying some wine.
I thought that was like a box of ketchup.
The Predator Flagship coming in.
I thought that was like a box of ketchup that you get at the restaurants. You know what they fill up the cups with?
You don't drink ketchup
that's
from the...
disgusting. They said it was ketchup that you were drinking. Thought it was ketchup. I had a really interesting note for this card, and I turned to a trusted writer for EDH for this, and that writer is Andy Zupke.
Who's that?
Oh, do you know what article I went?
My back, Andy. What is going on here?
Do you know what article I went digging in?
No.
Zerda.
Yeah. Yep.
So Zerda reduces this cost, right?
Yeah.
It gives target creature flying for 1 mana, and destroy target creature with flying for 3 mana. So you can make whatever you want flying for 1 mana, or you can destroy a target creature for a total of 4.
Unless it already has flying.
Not if it, and 3 if it already has flying. So yep. That makes it a much better playable card.
Yeah.
Like if you're in a deck that's reducing the activated ability cost for whatever reason, I think there's a Simic thing that does that too, right?
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Biomancer's Familiar.
That's the one.
That's
Thank
for
you.
Creatures, I believe.
Oh, okay. Either way, I mean, I think that it's worth a shot in Zerda, budget Zerda.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was actually in my notes too. I think this would be really good in Zerda. The Flagship is in 803 decks, so not totally, unplayed. And I have actually always wanted to try this, but never got around to it. And I've considered it many, many times for my Goreclaw deck, because my Goreclaw deck doesn't do very well against a lot of flyers. So it would be good there because, in mono green, you don't have trouble with mana, but you do have trouble with flyers a lot of the times. And it's also great for just giving your own creatures flying, so they can block flyers. That's a repeatable thing. It doesn't have to tap for that.
Green.
Yeah. So
you can also give your friends creatures flying.
Yes, that's true. If you want to do politics, this would be good for tribes that don't generally fly, like elves or humans. So this is a good card. It's 5 mana is still a lot, but it's I don't know. I think it's a good card.
Yeah, artifact reduction decks too. If you're Emery, Lurker the Lock or something, trying to make a bunch of cheap artifact creatures, and then one big one like the 12/12 or whatever, you want to send that flying.
Yeah, I mean, if you got an unwinding clock on the board, this thing's a killer.
Mm-hmm.
Is it?
It is.
Yeah, I guess if you get like the mana rocks with it, you should play this.
You said you played it in a deck.
In artifact decks, I mean, no, that's actually a good point. I think in Traxos this would be sweet with the unwinding clock, because you can tap like your Thrain Dynamos and all that other stuff. Yep. You can kill a whole creature a turn.
You absolutely can.
Proxa flying. Great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good. It costs a lot to do it, to play it, and whatever, but it's still good. All right. Who's up? Me?
Yep.
Okay. So we got our 3rd legend from the set. Remember when they used to have sets that didn't have 30 legends?
No.
Do you remember that? When that happened?
When was that? Last year?
So we got Volrath the Fallen. 3 black. 6/4 legend. I don't know the creature type here. It says discard a card, so maybe it's a spell shaper. 1 black. Discard a creature card from your hand. Volrath gets +X until end of turn, where X is the discarded card's converted mana cost. Flavor text is, I stepped out, I did not step down. I don't know what the hell that means.
Edgy.
So Volrath leads 61 decks.
That's it?
Yeah, that's more than enough. This isn't. I don't know.
Well,
I'm not excited about this. There's no evasion.
Colin, I'll let you go because I'm pretty excited for this one.
Okay.
All right. I'll leave this to you guys since if you like it.
This is one I did note that was only in 61 decks. So giant things reanimate. I have a number of and this I think goes with a little bit of, is it the spell shapers that also discard cards, whatever it is in this set, but there's a few cards that I would talk about, madness cards, and this is one of them. Like, you have to be able to get that creature back. So whether the creature had madness or you're playing a lot of recursion, great. I love a good Voltron deck, but this would not be for me.
No, you don't like it?
I wrote I like it, exclamation point, but I don't like it.
All right, so a couple things here.
Yeah.
One, I had to look this up. It's not a spell shaper, it is a shapeshifter. So shape is in there, but it's not the right kind. So this is like as you were saying, Colin, this is like a really sweet Reanimator / Voltron commander. So you can just, swing this in, and your opponents have to decide whether or not, like, okay, is this a turn that I block? And they have to ask how many cards are in your hand. And if they decide not to block, you're probably going to kill them. So Volrath comes at 6 power. So you only need 15 power worth of creatures to get in for, like, an insta-kill. And you can very easily do that with any combination of the big black creatures. You like your demons, those would be great for it. You can discard any of the, Eldrazi Titans or the Colossus where they shuffle back in your library, so you can just do it all over again. Volrath needs to be leading a little more, maybe a lot more than 31 bags. I kind of want to build it.
In what world does anyone let Volrath live as soon as it hits the battlefield, though? That's you got to have every form of protection. Your hand's going to be full of protection.
Yeah. Okay. And here's the other question: in what world do you not block?
Oh, that's true.
Maybe you give it flying with Predator Flagship.
Yeah.
Value. No, but I mean, if people are running around with Progenitus decks at like 10 mana double Ruberg, you can pull up Volrath.
Yeah, but Volrath doesn't have protection from everything.
It's weird.
It has protection from nothing.
It's weird, Voltron, because it's demanding of you to have a lot of creature cards, which you don't normally. You want the equipment, you want the protection.
Mm-hmm. You got to have a full hand.
It sort of fights with itself.
Yeah, I can see that. I feel like I'm being challenged.
You want the reanimate spells to get back the big things that you just chucked into the graveyard.
Well, I think this is creatures.
This is a challenge.
I think you got to brew this. I think you got to brew this, Nick, and prove us wrong.
This is prove me wrong.
Shout out to MTG Salvation for also having like a wicked sweet primer on Volrath.
Nice.
You can find it out there in the archives of Salvation. Send it to me because I don't remember where it is. But I know it's out there. It exists. The truth is out there.
Okay.
All right, Kill Switch. This is another one that I have now in my possession, and I'm super excited about this one. It is a 3-mana artifact for 31 cents, apparently. Pay 2, tap all other artifacts. They don't untap during their controller's untap steps as long as Kill Switch remains tapped. So this is so meta dependent. I mentioned Emery, Lurker of the Lock, earlier, and it's because I've had the hardest time playing against that deck. It's in my local meta here. So you keep killing all of these artifacts and giant things. They keep coming back out of the graveyard. It is so hard to deal with. Just shut it down. I don't like stacks. I really don't like stacks, but if somebody's strategy is so oppressive that like every answer in your deck doesn't deal with it, just kill switch it. You tap it all down and leave it tapped, and when the next gigantic thing comes out onto the battlefield, you untap your kill switch and tap it again. And all artifacts stay tapped. It's amazing. This card is amazing.
Is it? I don't know that it is.
Right. I mean,
if you drop this while I'm playing Traxos, I'm gonna just scoop.
You have unwinding block. Who cares?
Yeah, you could. Yeah, that's the thing. Traxos is built to untap, right? Everything. So this is actually fine for Traxos because you have a bunch of built-in things to combat this, because it literally says what Traxos says on it, right? Okay, Success is largely a matter of knowing which lever to pull. It's for me, it's just that one deck that whether it's like Urza's Gumball, Lenny's Urza's Gumball deck, the one that just pumps out so many things, and just like you're never going to be able to deal with all these artifacts because they're all going to keep coming back. This is a cool way to deal with it.
Okay, so SPDO in chat just mentioned Michael Synthelatus would be the ultimate kill switch, because it would tap everything, including your own stuff. Like, again, I'm gonna scoop because nobody's gonna get to play anymore.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go that far.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So fun thing with this, I know in the story, very vaguely, the kill switch is something that that's a real thing that happens in the story, and it has to do something with the Phyrexians. If you look at the art of the card, there is a lever that's the red lever, and it has the Phyrexian on it, and that's the lever that you shouldn't pull. Mm-hmm. And the guy's gonna do it. Watch out! Ooh.
Yep.
So yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there. I don't like this card.
No, I don't either.
There it is.
I do like the next card though.
All right, go ahead, Nick.
All right, so we got Overlaid Terrain. I like all the enchantments in this set. I don't know why. It's 2 and double green for an enchantment. When it comes into play, sacrifice all lands you control. And lands you control now tap for 2 mana of any one color. So you're looking at this and you're thinking, like, why would I want to, like, strip mine myself on turn 4 or turn whatever? And the answer to that question is Mazarek. This is Mazarek's Hail Mary. Mm-hmm. It's like turn 9 or turn 10. You got a bunch of creatures. You got Mazarek. They're not that big. You play Overlaid Terrain, and all of your creatures get +10/+10, and you just swing for the fences. I've done it before. It's super sweet. I love this card.
Wow. Yeah, SPDO mentioned Titania, and it is in Titania is the biggest one for this card, because whenever you sacrifice a land, or whenever land goes to the graveyard, you get a 5/3 creature. So this is in 104 decks. Seems to me like a slam dunk in Windgrace, because you can get 2 lands back with one of Windgrace's abilities. But it's in less than 1% of those decks. I would think Gitrog would like it too, but it's not even showing up on EDH Rec for Gitrog. I guess to have a mana doubler at 4 mana seems pretty good. Since what is most of them cost more than that, right? Like Mirari's Wake is 5? Zendikar Resurgent is 7. So this is cheap, but obviously you have the pretty wicked drawback of sacrificing all your lands. But if you have ways to get them back, that's not really that bad. I think this is probably better in the early game. Like if you got
it's super bad. Even I have a Windgrace deck. I wouldn't play it. If you pull it late, you're not going to be able to recoup all those lands.
Yeah, I mean if you can pull it off on turn 2.
Got there.
Yes, that I don't know how you. I wrote the dream scenario: turn 1 Land of War Elves, turn 2 Land of War Tribe, turn 3 sack 2 lands, floating 1 mana with Tribe. You cast Terrain. You play a land, and you basically get it for free. So you still have 4 mana available, the 1 floating, the Land of War Elves, and the land you just played that you could tap for 2 mana. That's like the dream scenario. You really want this early, unless you're doing something like I didn't even think of Titania. I didn't have that down, but
yeah, I like what you just said, Nick, about comboing this with Parallax. Was it Parallax Tide? Where you can just exile,
get rid of them all, and just oops,
exile all your lands.
I like Colin's idea better, using mana dorks to offset having to sacrifice your lands, like a lot of lands early. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, if you could do a turn 2, you got Soul Ring and 2 forests. You're gonna recover from that easily.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah, I like that. See, the card's great.
It's not great.
One must reap before one can sow.
I would try it. I wouldn't rule this card out. I would try it in a... maybe, but I don't know. It's tough. Okay. All right, this one's me. Parallax Nexus. So we got 5 fading counters on this one. 2 and a black for an enchantment. Remove a fade counter from it. Target opponent removes a card from his or her hand from the game. Play this ability only if you could play a sorcery. When Parallax Nexus leaves play, each player returns to his or her hand all cards he or she owns removed from the game with Parallax Nexus. Okay. So let's see. So this is in 41 decks. I'm not a huge fan of discard strategies in Commander, but this seems really good in Atraxa. I know we mentioned that for one of the other Parallax cards earlier. You can keep adding counters onto it, so those cards are just going to stay gone. Or any other proliferate deck in black. You're going to be getting some pretty serious card advantage, at least until they kill it. But I don't know. It kind of stops people from playing, which is something I usually tend to avoid. But you're only doing one card at a time, so it's not that bad. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I had the proliferate note here, but I think this is the first one I saw that I said if you're playing Eldrazi processors, then it becomes mega card advantage for you because you try to play those cards from your opponent's exile before they get them back. So I think there's a lot of fun things. If anyone has Eldrazi processors in their decks for whatever reason, this is a good card to slot in there.
Yeah, it's really disappointing that it says, unlike Parallax Tide, that says target opponent exiles a card. If it said, if it was you, or any player, I could see yourself like saving cards in case you wanted to wheel. But since you can't, it reminds me of that meme with that that small girl in the yellow coat like running away with some ice cream. If you know what I'm talking about.
No.
I'll have to find it, and you'll have to put that for like the thumbnail.
Okay. All right. Well, moving on.
I just found it. I know what you're talking about.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Okay.
It looks like that, doesn't it?
I'm sorry.
You're gonna put that
okay.
in Discord for Andy there.
Yeah,
so,
we'll
Andy
drop it in there later.
All right, Colin, you're up.
Is this me?
Yeah.
Avenger Endar?
Endal?
There we are. So I did my list by alphabetical, so I'm flipping back and forth. This is one of the first cards I looked at. It's 1 and a white. It's a creature spell shaper. 2 and a white for a 1/1. 2 and a white ability, tap, discard a card from your hand, remove target attacking creature from the game. Its controller gains life equal to its toughness. It's a great ability on a creature. Let me get my notes together here.
Notes on spell shapers, right?
It gets indestructible, gets rid of indestructible creatures, which is nice. I was wondering if there were any Mardu Madness decks out there. So I know I talked about Madness already. This was the first thing that was like, oh, if you're discarding a card, let's try to get it back. There are currently 2 white cards with Madness ability. That aren't terrible cards, by the way. It's like Enchantment Destruction and something else. But it's cool with a lot of those discard payoffs. So this is the one that I made a note for, Alesha, which if you want to get stuff into your graveyard anyway,
sure.
Great. Edgar Markov, if you have a build that's also Madness, or Tariel, which is a dragon that gets cards out of your graveyard.
Okay.
Reckoner of Souls. Oh, it's an angel. Sorry, but yeah, I think that it's edge case. It's not worth running unless you can get advantage from that discard.
Yeah, I mean it's so it's Swords to Plowshares on a creature, but you can only target attacking creatures. I guess with the trouble that white has with card draw, I wouldn't be very tempted to run a white spell shaper, but I guess if you're playing it, with other colors, that's okay. I don't know. I guess I don't hate it, but I don't think I would play it.
Yeah, not hard to believe this is one of the better non-legendary creature spell shapers in the game. It's kind of nice as a rattlesnake effect, so if you ever have your 3 mana and a card in hand, no one's going to bother attacking you. So it's one of those things where it's virtual card advantage, where you play this, and if you can't activate it, you don't ever have to activate it. As long as you can, that's usually enough of a deterrent for somebody to either not swing at all, or they're going to swing at somebody else.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's true. I didn't think of that. It's a good deterrent. Certainly. I like that. Sully in chat.
That's the one you want to...
Gen.
Sorry, go ahead.
Gen, the new Mardu enchantment.
Oh, yeah.
One from Commander Legends. You can discard an enchantment and get it back.
Yeah, there's some Tariel love there.
Mm-hmm.
The other card we covered earlier today that gives creatures Shroud, that's the one you want to have out with this one.
Yeah, exactly.
There's your deterrent and your protection.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. All right.
It's here. We finally made it to the dumb artifact that doesn't need to be printed whatsoever.
This card.
Allow me to introduce you, Magic World, to Complex Automaton. This is a 4-mana 4/4. It is a golem. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 7 or more permanents, put it back in your hand. The flavor text is everything.
On point. I have a note. Flavor text is exactly on point.
This wasteful design cannot possibly be Phyrexian.
Okay, so Colin, if you had bought a pack of Nemesis, this is what you would have opened. I guarantee it.
and if I did open it, I would be slotting it into my Baron Tolarian Archmage deck, because you can bounce somebody else's thing and bounce this back to your hand because you control more permanents than 4, and you draw a card because of Baron's ability. So it's a 4-mana draw a card in blue, which is exactly what you want to be doing.
Wow.
Well, you found a commander for this card. That's amazing.
I did. I tried really hard.
Slow clap. Good job. Thanks for coming, Sully. Have a good night.
Bye, Sully. Thank you.
Yeah, I can. This card is in 4 decks.
Why is it in 4?
Just 4 too many.
That's because the Baron players haven't discovered it yet.
I guess.
What decks is it in? Is it in Velby decks?
You don't get a statistic on it if it's only in 4 decks.
Oh.
Because it's got to be like,
darn,
at least like half a percentage or something before they'll even list it on the card's page.
I bet you that's in like 4 different decks that are saying like 100 cards that I want for the Mercadian Mass block, and it just happened to be in there as a mistake. And EDH Rec thinks it's a deck without lands. I don't know.
All right.
Andy, the next one.
Yeah, I got it. Death Pit Offering, 2 black. As it comes into play, sacrifice all creatures you control. Creatures you control get +2/+2. So this is a lot like that green enchantment that made you sacrifice all of your lands, but your lands make double mana. It's kind of the same, along the same lines here, except this is actually pretty good.
Really
hey.
good.
It's pretty decent. I mean, if you play it early game and you don't have many creatures out, you're not losing much. But if you're playing, a deck that wants to sacrifice a lot of creatures, that's a pretty good thing.
And I am.
Yes. Especially if you're running like If you got like a ton of creatures out, you got a Bastion of Remembrance, and you drop this, you gotta sacrifice all your creatures and gain a bunch of life.
Orzhov Aristocrats. I have a deck I'm slotting this into. It doesn't matter if you have creatures and you sacrifice them all, and then you make all these 1/1s, 2/2s, whatever they are, like 3/3s and 4/4s. I'm into it.
So Caleb in chat wants to know, why is this black? Which is it is an interesting question, because creatures you can control get +2/+2 is not a black thing. Obviously the first part seems black, but pumping all your creatures, that's not something you see very often in black cards.
Well, the whole thing for black is like it can do whatever it wants as long as you have to pay dearly for it, right? Like
green, except there's no drawback.
Yeah, pumping all your creatures is usually green or white, so it's kind of interesting.
There is another card like this in, I think it's original Innistrad block, Heartless Summoning. I guess it's like the opposite, right? It makes your creatures weaker, but they cost less.
Yeah, I like that card.
Yeah, that's a cool card.
This makes your Reassembling Skeleton a 3/3, and that's all you need.
Oh yes. I'm like so excited to put this in a deck. Mine is helmed by Aetherios, the OG God of Passage, or not? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Aetherios. This would be really good in Aetherios.
Yeah. So even if you have to sack all your creatures, you say, do you want to pay me 3 life for this? Do you want to pay me 3 life for this? Do you want to pay me 3 life for this? Okay, they all go back into my hand. Now they're all 3/3s, 4/4s, 5/5s, whatever.
Nice. Yeah. I like that.
Andy Flory is here.
Hey, what's up, Andy?
Bad. So every time you cast your creature spell, you make like X 3/3 thralls. That seems pretty good.
Yeah, I like it. I like this card. It's only in 105 decks. I would actually. I think it should be more. I think it's a good card.
Gonna be 106 soon.
All right. Okay, we have another winner here for Colin.
This one may. Okay, sweet. The Eye of Yawgmoth. It's a 3-mana artifact. You pay 3, tap it, sacrifice a creature, reveal cards from the top of your library equal to the sacrificed creature's power. Put 1 in your hand and exile the rest. I'm close on this one. I didn't buy it because I bought all these from my LGS, which I was like, if my LGS has the card, I'll pick it up, right? For me, this is really close on Phoenix. I talked about my self-milled deck earlier today. So that one in particular has a bunch of beefy creatures. Most of them are big-butted creatures, but it's an ability to get cards out of your deck. I had been looking at Eldrazi processors and talking about them, but you can only play cards from opponent's exile with Eldrazi processors, not your own exile. So I was sadly disappointed about that, but it's close. I'm not planning on running it though.
Yeah, if it didn't exile, if it just put them in your graveyard, this would be really good. But losing your cards forever is, I don't like doing that. I never like doing that. I don't know. What do you think, Nick?
I think this dude's collarbone is way bigger than it should be. Like, this elf has the biggest collarbone. What is going on?
Okay, what do you think of the card?
The card, it's bad.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's a question. Which part is the eye?
I mean, Yawgmoth is supposed to be like a part machine, right? But this is kind of ridiculous. This is like literally something you would see at like a Aurora hospital, I think.
Is Yawgmoth later a machine? This is like before the physician Yawgmoth, or after?
I don't know.
That's a good question, though. Where is the Eye of Yawgmoth? Because that's not Yawgmoth on the table. So where is the eye?
Maybe it's like a giant microscope.
But it looks like it's about to. It looks like it's about to slice open her chest, though.
Yeah, but the like right above that might be the lens to see what you're slicing, so you get a good view of kind of. All right.
I think we're trying too hard. Let's move on, huh?
Trying too hard. Yeah, keep going. Let's keep going.
Speaking of trying too hard, we got some Flowstone cards here.
Yes.
Speaking of weird art.
So I like the next card better than this one, but since this is mine, I'll read it. Flowstone Overseer. It's a 4/4 for 2 triple red. It's a beast. You can pay double red, and target creature gets +1/-1 until end of turn. Okay, I read this wrong. I thought it was this creature gets it. Now it says target creature. That's pretty cool. You can. It's a nice, nice mana dump. You can start picking off some creatures. You can make your commander a little bit bigger if it's unblocked. I don't know. The art's kind of weird. I don't know if that's supposed to be like its hand.
I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, I would kind of like it to put on a shirt or something, because it's making me a little uncomfortable.
Cover that.
But just put on a towel, buddy. You're just like standing over me like that with just nothing on.
He's doing a little like reachy creachy there.
Oh.
What is this? A deep dive into cat arts, card arts? No.
Yeah, cat art. Let's go.
Yeah, cat art. I have two notes, one after the other for both of these cards, which is as a mono red player, and I have 2 mono red decks. And I looked it up. I was like, someone has had to ask this question. It was like on top of one of the forums. How can I take care of an indestructible creature in mono red? And this is a unique ability. I've never seen this on a red card before, where you're giving negative instead of doing damage. And both of these 2 cards are an answer to an indestructible creature, which is super rare in mono red, albeit like if it's a 5/5 indestructible, it's going to cost 10 mana on this, 9 mana on the next card. But that's a valuable effect all on its own.
Yeah, I mean, outside of Chaos Warp, red doesn't really have ways of doing that. So yeah, this is kind of cool. I mean, red, if you're in mono red, that's not a problem. But I guess if it's like a huge
mono red
indestructible,
devotion, if you got like Fanatic of Mogi, the Fanatic of Mogus.
You say Mogi? Mogi? No, I'm actually I don't know. This is a pretty decent mono red card.
I would rather play the next one over the creature, only because it gives you more flexibility.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
The next one gives you more flexibility?
Yeah, why don't you read it, Andy?
I think it'd be less. Okay, well, we'll move on to the next Flowstone card here. The Flowstone Slide. I think I had to do this dance in high school.
The Flowstone Slide.
Pretty sure I did this at prom, the Flowstone Slide.
Back in, what was this, 2000? That's what it says.
That is actually the year I graduated high school, yeah.
So it might have been prom.
Wow.
It was prom. It may look like soil, but its nature is malice. Okay. So
Ooh.
I don't see how this is more flexible. I really don't. X2 red. Okay, that's you gotta pay a lot of mana for this. All creatures get +X -X until end of turn.
So here's what I mean by more flexible is this. If you have an opponent that has an indestructible creature or whatever it is, you have to have that creature on the board at the time. It has to live through whatever you're doing. But with a spell, you have that. You can use it to pump your whole team instead of just one creature, which gives it more flexibility in that way. Or you can use it as a board wipe. So you can slot this in your board wipe slot or your pump slot.
Oh, that is an expensive board wipe. That is a very expensive board wipe.
Yeah, I'll give you that, but it takes care of indestructible creatures. So
yeah,
I would, if it came down to like, how do I take care of indestructible creatures in mono red? Which one of those 2 things do I want? I would rather have this one because it's also cheaper to do. This one, 9 mana kills all the 5/5s instead of 10, plus the cost of the creature.
Okay. So I was thinking that this actually would be pretty decent in Roshin Meanderer Hydra Tribal. Because you can, it's got an X in its cost. And, your Hydras are probably all pretty big, so you can make them all, like, big X, big power, little toughness, and, if you can give them, like, all trample or cast Bedlam so nobody can block, then it'd be decent.
Okay. Roshin, I like that.
Nick, you got anything on this one?
I don't know how rules work because I'm a hard casual player. The first commander I thought of when I saw this was Manichi the Fevered Dream from Betrayers of Kamigawa. If you don't know what that one is, it's the mono red legendary spirit that you can pay 1 in a red and switch each creature's power and toughness till end of turn. So I don't know if you can like stack the triggers somehow to like kill everything or make everything super huge. I don't know. But I like this card. I picked it up in my LGS quarter box a year or two ago, just looking for a place to play it. And Colin, I like your idea. It's really good as a mono red way to get around like indestructible like Boris Charm. This doesn't care about Boris Charm. We're coming in. We're gonna we're gonna put some malicious soil all over your creatures. There's nothing you can do about it.
I mean, you have to have some pretty big beefy things to survive that, like 6/6 dragons, right? So you pump 9 mana into it. All of your 6/6s turn into 11 ones or something like that, and it kills all the 5/5s on the board.
Ooh. That's pretty sick. I like that. Oh, you can pair it with more Is It shenanigans for you, Colin. You can pair it with the new mono blue Umezawa guy, or if your creatures have power or toughness equal to 1 or less or whatever.
Oh yes.
There you go.
Unblockability.
Got there.
Cool.
All right, let's go on to the next one.
Let's Flowstone slide down to the next card, huh? Slide right. To the left.
Think this one's me?
Sure.
Yeah, this one's you.
I landed on a non-artifact card. Oh, this card is so cool. First, the art.
Oh,
is
did
so
you
cool.
want to skip to the artifacts? We can do that.
No. This card. Lackalith Titan, 5 red creature beast, for 6/6. Whenever Lackalith Titan becomes blocked, you may have it deal damage equal to its power to target creature. If you do, Lackalith Titan deals no combat damage this turn. So, My Spice, one of your favorite cards, Andy, Brash Taunter,
yep.
Right? But here's the dream. I have a Brutaclad deck, so you turn all of your creatures into Lackalith Titans. And then someone has to decide whether they're going to block all of these 6/6s or have you have all of your Lackalith Titans deal that damage to Brash Taunter that you played after, that wasn't a token. So then that's my dream scenario. Or it could be like a one-sided board wipe doing the same thing. A million Lackalith Titans is what I want.
A million freaking Lackalith Titans. Nick, you got any thoughts on this one?
The art's pretty sweet. Like the I like it when cards, when the art of the card does or shows what the text says it's supposed to do. Yeah. Like you can see this guy in the foreground like running away.
Yeah.
Tried to block this Lackalith Titan and then kind of failed. You can see coming out of the shoulder blade or the elbow or whatever that is, killing everything else over here. So that's pretty sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I wouldn't play this card.
Yeah. It's only in 11 decks. 7 mana is a lot for this, I think. But I don't know. Yeah, I probably wouldn't play it. But, I like your idea of using it in Brutaclad. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's sweet.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to have like 10 mana available because you have the 7 mana to cast it, then the 3 mana to make a token copy of it, and then if you could get into your graveyard and like Feldon it, that's probably the cheapest way to do that.
All right, Nick, what's our next one here?
All right, I think Colin's a little more creative than we are when it comes to cards, so glad that you're here. So you can help me out with
I'm
this.
just ready to play jank. I want to make all jank work.
We got Murderous Trail. It is triple black, another enchantment for me. Sweet. You can pay double black and pay half your life rounded up. Destroy target non-black creature. It can't be regenerated. Comboing it with, I don't know. Maybe you can get to a point where you can play Near-Death Experience or something else like that. Or what's that card with Sorin's art on it? You pay 7 mana and each player's life total becomes the lowest. That's pretty sweet.
That's my pet card, Repay in Kind.
That's the one. Yeah, you can play it there.
I love Repay in Kind.
And this is gonna sound worse than it actually is. It's risky but fun.
Yeah, I think I don't know why they ever thought that black shouldn't be able to kill black. It's kind of weird looking back on it. Like now black can kill any color, but it used to be everything was like has to kill non-black creatures. That's kind of dumb. But then
non-artifact.
Right. It's a lot. That's a lot to pay to kill a non-black creature. But it's pretty cool if you're, doing life point manipulation stuff and you want to get your life total down like really, really fast. Like my notes, I had Repay in Kind because that is my pet card in my Keurig deck. This is really good with Font of Agonies because put all those counters on Font of Agonies and then you can kill any creature. It doesn't have to be non-black.
Yeah.
Colin? Did you buy this one?
I didn't buy it because I don't plan on making this deck. But Villus, Broker of Blood.
Ooh.
This card says pay black, destroy creature, draw 20 cards. I mean, you lose 20 life to do it.
Yeah.
But it's worth it. And in that deck, you're running stuff like Repay in Kind or Profane Transfusion.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm at 20 life. Now I'm going to put myself back up to 40, put you at 20. I'm going to have a 20-20 on the board. Or the other thing I had in here, I played against a really cool Blim deck. The new Trickster deck where you lose life equal to the number of opponents' permanents you own.
Yep.
So this is kind of a cool thing to give away with Blim, because it's not like a terrible one of the captivating audience. Like it doesn't make opponents be like, oh, I don't really want to play this game. But if somebody gave me this with Blim, they're giving me a choice. If I have black mana available to me to okay, do I try to activate this thing? It's gonna hurt me real bad. So I like it for Villus and I like it for Blim. I think in both of those decks you could do well with it.
Yeah. It's an interesting card. There's a lot of stuff you can do with life point.
Combos with Eternity Vessel. Got there.
Eternity Vessel.
What does Eternity Vessel do?
I think it's from World Wake or something, but it's an artifact where it comes into play. You put X Eternity counters on it, or X Vessel counters or something, where X is your life total, and every time you landfall, your life total goes back to whatever that is.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Oh, all right. Yep.
I like
That's
that.
Cool. Dig it. Cool.
Okay, well that's Murderous Betrayal. Andy, what do we got next?
Next, we have Oracle's Attendance. Is a
This is the one I sent you my notes on.
Yeah. So this is 3 white for a 1/5 soldier. Tap it. All damage that would be dealt to target creature this turn by a source of your choice is dealt to Oracle's Attendance instead. I mean, I guess there's uses for it. I don't know if it's ever gonna swing a game It's in 7 decks, so somebody must like it. But I'm not really a fan. Colin,
what you got?
I don't know if you can see this.
No.
Crappy Protector of the Crown. Can't even mutate on it. That's all I got. It's a human. It says soldier, and I was like, maybe you can mutate on it. No, not even. And I couldn't, like, no matter what kind of enchantment or whatever you could put on this thing to make it indestructible, or what, it's not worth it.
Yeah, you'd have to find some way of doing that. Or SPDO in chat says you can get one of your creatures to survive a blasphemous act.
That's a funny image, like jumping in front of a blasphemous act, just no.
This slow motion.
I think there's better ways to do it.
There are better ways to protect your creatures than Oracle's Attendants.
This survives a Flowstone slide for 4.
No, it doesn't, because it's negative. It's not damage. That's the beauty of this. Is like the only red card that doesn't kill with damage. It gives negative.
Yeah. Well, it becomes a 5/1.
Oh, you mean for X? Yeah, X equals 4 or whatever. Yeah, okay. Or not X equals 4. Total mana value of 4.
That's right. Mana value.
Mana value. Okay.
All right. So this next one, I'm pretty sure is non-functional in our format, but you guys let me know if you can think of a way to play this. Otherwise, I think we'll just skip Peck Hunt.
Persistent Petitioners, Rat Colony, Relentless Rats, Shadowborn Apostles, 7 Dwarves. Pay 4, draw 3. That's what this says.
Yep.
In those decks only.
In those decks only, yep. Other than that, not really worth playing.
Nope.
I noted that be good in Golgari Rats. But
Spy Kit doesn't do it, right? I've tried to abuse Spy Kit before, and it just.
This does. So this reads with Spy Kit. Pay 4 mana. Search your library for 3 creature cards. Oh, copies of it's been eroded to the same name. So you can search for any 3 non-legendary creatures in your deck and put them in your hand. That's a good call.
Spy Kit?
Spy Kit's so good. I love Spy Kit. It's the greatest.
So Spy Kit.
Okay,
yeah.
so Spy Kit's good too.
There you go.
We talk about that card a lot.
Or
edge cases.
All right. Who's up? Colin, do you want to read this one?
Well, you kind of skipped over yourself, but I'll take this one. Pale Moon for 1 and a blue. Instant. Until end of turn, if a player taps a non-basic land for mana, it produces colorless mana instead of its normal type. Our friend Baltan told me to pull as many Pale Moons. I honestly didn't know about this card. I have a note here. The first thing says this card slaps. Needs recursion. Not fun though. It's a blue Blood Moon.
What?
Okay, so
this card is awful.
There are some cards, that like people see as, stacksy or like too hateful or whatnot. But this only does it on 1 turn. So
yeah, you need recursion for it.
Super mean, and it will buy you a turn. And it's not going to get any ire from the rest of the table because you're normally activating it on the player's turn that you want to hit with it.
Okay,
so
but
it doesn't do what I want it.
But they can just tap their lands in response.
You have to do it. So I have a note. You have to do it during their upkeep. So unless it's an instant, goes to your turn, upkeep, draw a step, do this. You have all or most of your mana is going to be colorless this turn, and I don't think it's not worth it. So I like slowly wrote my way into like this can stop something maybe. It's not what I hoped it would be.
Yeah. So SPDO,
it's beautiful. It's a beautiful card. Mm-hmm. Some nice art.
SPDO in chat says put it on an Isochron Scepter.
There you go. 2 mana instant on an Isochron Scepter.
This helps you cast that
Oh, I cut Blood Moon. It says I cut Blood Moon out of my decks because I want everyone to be able to play what they can play. So I wouldn't play this card.
All right, well, it's time. It's time, chat, for another fantastic Mercadian Mass classic. It's an artifact. It's called Parallax Inhibitor. It costs 2 mana. You can pay 1 and tap it, and then sacrifice it, and you can put a fade counter on each permanent with fading you control. Wonderful.
Yay. A lot of people playing fade decks, right?
Abzan weird old counters deck, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know if he's playing any fade stuff in there.
Well, Andy, if you're still in chat and you're not, maybe you should. Maybe you should look at this card and think about playing it, and then realize, no, maybe I shouldn't, and then you won't. More like sassy Belby art or Belby flavor text. The best I can offer is a temporary reprieve.
I have that. That was my note. That's the only note.
It's like she knew all these cards were bad.
Belby is just somebody in R&D.
It's like an anagram for somebody that works there who's like, these cards suck.
Dark water.
All right, so we got our first land here. Wrath's Edge. Tap it for a colorless. Pay 4, tap it, sacrifice it. It deals 1 damage to target creature or player. Why would you do that?
I have a deck.
No, you don't.
Colin and I are kind of on the same wavelength, so Colin, I have a commander in mind. Do you have a commander in mind?
I have a creature in mind. It's not a commander.
Okay. I have Hirobi Death's Whale in mind.
To target a creature?
Yeah.
Alright. It's an expensive one. Pay 4 and sack a land. So, Hirobi's mono black, right? This goes in that deck, which is Herald of Leshrac.
Yes.
I opened this card in a mystery booster pack and was like, what is this? Cumulative upkeep, gain control of a land you don't control. And so you keep gaining control of other people's lands, and that will be able to let you slowly feed this thing. Basically, just if you wanted to destroy people's lands, when you gain control of them, this is a way to do it. So, mono black bonus land for maybe being able to steal people's lands and sack them before they get it back when Leshrac leaves the battlefield.
I hate Herald of Leshrac. That thing gives me nightmares.
I haven't put it in a deck yet, but I really want to.
What do you think, Andy?
Sacrifice a land to deal 1 damage. Oh, and you gotta pay 4 mana for it too? That sounds amazing.
It's repeatable. Okay, what about in Gitrog, it draws you a card. In Titania, it gets you a creature.
Let's move on.
Yeah. Okay.
Colin, you're up, buddy.
Oh, is it me already?
Yeah, yeah.
All right, this is the promo that we skipped over earlier today. Rathy Assassin. It is a 2 black mercenary, creature mercenary for 2. It's a 2/2. Activated ability, 1 black tap, destroy target tapped non-black creature. 3 and a black tap, search your library for a mercenary card with converted mana cost 3 or less and put that card into play, then shuffle your library. So we've talked about it already. Mercenary tribal or tribal. It's a tutor and tribal, so it finds newly cool card from Kaldheim Bloodline Pretender. Masked Vandal is another one. Mirror Entity is the big one. If you're doing tribal, Mirror Entity is like a nice finisher. It's a 3 mana cost or less. Realm Walker, Torian Mauler, Unsettled Mariner, just a few of the changelings I wrote down here that I'd like to tutor, and it's a repeatable removal. Tribal.
Yeah, I guess.
Andy loves it.
I literally wrote no notes in my notes on this one. Just like, oh, okay, cool.
Tribal.
I don't have much more to say on that than what Colin just said. Like, yeah, you can play it in tribal. It's pretty neat.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I think finding Mirror Entity is big. Like, if you're looking for Mirror Entity, a lot of decks are. It'll get there.
That is a good call. All right. I'm going to take this one because I've always wanted this card, and I actually just don't own one. This is, but not this art, though. This is Rocks. It's a 5/5 for 4 and double green. It's Beast. You can have it assign combat damage, though it weren't blocked, and it has Regenerate. It's solid evasive beater. It's got built-in protection. It gets the damage through. I think this might be the first printing of Rocks. This art doesn't really do it for me. It's like kind of falling and booping its own nose, and
looks clumsy.
Like it's an upright thing, holding a mace. That's the art I want.
Mm-hmm. So, my only thought on this is, imagine how strong this would be if it could be your commander. That'd be pretty.
I agree.
Pretty good. Otherwise, it's okay.
It's 6 mana. It's not gonna live. Gosh.
Dice to removal.
You wait for 9 mana. I mean,
throwing it back.
I mean, the whole thing is like that's what you get with Run, right? Except it doesn't have the ability to throw the damage, but you can find ways to do that.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first serious mutate target, just for the regenerate ability, but it's expensive, and that's the problem. Like, you want the creatures that you're mutating onto to be cheap, so that they're there to mutate expensive stuff. But it'd be nice in either Toski, because you can draw cards even if it gets blocked, or Finn if you can give it Death Touch. I've been playing a Finn deck in Standard and having a lot of fun with that. So
okay, cool. Yeah, there's some decent ways to use this. I like your idea for mutate on this one. Throw Brokos on this, or whatever the other mutate ones are. I don't remember. Get that commander damage in there.
Regeneration.
Yeah.
Hexproof.
That's pretty decent. Okay. Last page. We got 5 more cards. I'm sure they're all going to be really good.
And none of them are artifacts. Thank goodness.
No artifacts. Okay. Who's up? I think this is Nick.
I think. No, it's you. Yeah.
Okay.
Andy.
Saproling Cluster. 1 and a green for an enchantment. Pay 1. Discard a card. Put a 1/1 green sapling creature token into play. Any player may play this ability. Anybody can do that. That's interesting.
I love this card.
This is in 117 decks. I don't really know what you would do with it.
Everybody's a spell shaper. It's great. Everybody gets to be a spell shaper.
All right, guys, tell me why this is good.
Going back to Madness, right? I went back to this. Okay, what green Madness cards are there? There's only 2. They're not good, except Basking Root Walla, which is a 0 cost on Madness. You can play a creature for free, and if there's some kind of loop that you can do with Basking Root Walla to return it to your hand, pay 1 for this, discard it, whatever. But the real deck that this goes into is Griswold. Whenever a token dies, put a +1/+1 counter on Griswold.
Oh yeah, yep.
And it's Golgari Commander, so you'll have a lot of regeneration. So if you're discarding cards into your graveyard, you should be able to recur them while also creating this, like, whether it's you or an opponent out of desperation for a blocker or whatever, creating these tokens, Griswold can benefit.
Cool. Yeah, I like the Griswold. That's a good card for that. Nick, you got anything?
Yeah, so a couple things. One, I don't think Magic really knew what they wanted Saprolings to be. Like, these are snakes. They're very clearly snakes. Yeah, like a cornucopia.
Yeah, that doesn't look like a Saproling. Like, if you compare this to, like, the Saprolings from Fallen Empires,
come on,
they look like
those
tree folk.
Saprolings.
No, these are worms.
I'm into that's a vine.
Those look like less dark versions of Massacre Worm.
Yeah,
their faces, don't they?
I can see that. So, commanders that I would play this with, Edric Spymaster of Trest, because it doesn't matter if they're going to swing at you with their 1/1s. They're not going to be able to draw cards, so they're going to want to swing at other people and join in on the fun. The other one is Sidar Kondo. So you can make a bunch of things that are unblockable. You mentioned Toski earlier. You can just draw a bunch of cards that way too. So you can have a little bit of fun with that.
All right. Cool. Okay, up next we have Shrieking Mog.
I'm excited about this one. Shrieking Mog. This is me, right? Yeah. Okay. One in a red. Creature Goblin, 1/1 haste. When Shrieking Mog comes into play, tap all other creatures. You have to admire its enthusiasm. So this is my actual for reals. Gonna mutate onto this card. Okay, this is awesome. Bought this card. It's in my hand right now, and I have a Snapdax deck that I'm like so excited for this card. So. So you play this card, it has haste so it can attack, you mutate onto it, then whatever you mutated onto it, Snapdax, has haste. There's no blockers on the battlefield. You probably have an equipment that gives infect. Don't worry about my Snapdax deck, guys.
Now I'm gonna.
So I'm super excited about that. I also had a few other notes. It's good in a Go deck, or any deck with Leyline of Anticipation, Vidalcan Ori, or Vivian Champion of the Wild, where you could play this with Flash and tap everybody's creatures when you want to.
Yeah. If you sense an Alpha Strike coming, when they enter combat, you can drop this. That's good.
So this is, if you can play this with Flash, it is stellar. It is cool. And bonus for Mutate Voltron, you don't need any other creatures, and it's not a 1/1 attacking. It's a gigantic cool thing.
So this is in 117 decks. Same number as Saproling Cluster. And Charlotte Sable runs this in her Alesha deck. So, I don't know, if Charlotte's running it, it can't be bad.
I can see that, bringing it back, tapping down all creatures so nothing can block.
Yeah.
Before blockers, that's stellar. That's really good tech.
I like that. As an ex-EDH Goblins player, I play Goblins in every other format. Let's say all of your opponents, or the last remaining opponent, has Sphere of Safety and you can't attack in, which means you can't tap your creatures. Well, this means you can tap all your goblins. What good does that do? Well, you're playing Throne of the God Pharaoh, so you can just deal even more damage. So this is a very edge case of how you can abuse Throne of the God Pharaoh. Mm-hmm. You're welcome.
I didn't think about it until just now either. Morog, Fury of Akum, untaps all your creatures on the second combat. So on the first combat, you get Shrieking Mog in, play a land second main, untap all your gigantic stuff. Everyone else's stuff is tapped, and they get the buff for second attack.
I like it.
Wow.
I like it.
Cool.
Good call, guys. All right.
Okie dokie. I guess I have this one. Civi's Valor. It's 2 and a white. If you control a plains, you may tap an untapped creature you control instead of paying the cost. So that's pretty good. What does it do? All damage that would be dealt to target creature this turn is dealt to you instead. Huh. So that's
dun, dun,
dun.
interesting.
Colin likes it.
I like it.
I was thinking, like, well, I guess I can save the damage going to Brash Taunter, but it's probably going at me anyway, so it's not doing me any favors. I don't know about this card. What do you think, Colin?
I'm looking for my notes. This is cool protection versus red damage wrath. It's a nice combat trick. White life gain decks probably don't care about it, so I was thinking about sliding this into my Angels deck. And it's a free spell, which, you know, any free spell is value.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, it's got some cool Jeff Miracola art, who I met at Command Fest Chicago, where you all were. We didn't meet up at that time, but
oh, right on.
Yeah,
I thought that was cool. But yeah, I think a free spell is worth looking at no matter what, and I think there are times where you would rather take the damage than lose your, you know, angel or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm. So this is an 88 decks, which is not bad. It's in 13% of Darien decks. So Darien says whenever you're dealt damage, you make that many 1/1 tokens.
Ooh, that's cool.
I would also play this in Michiko Kanda. That's whenever you're dealt damage, whoever was the source of it has to sacrifice a permanent.
Okay.
That's pretty
decent. For 3 mana, that's not bad.
Yeah. All right. We're getting close here. Just 2 more left. I think this one's me, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Sky Shroud Behemoth. 7 mana for a 10/10. Pretty good. But it has Fading 2. So you're only going to get 1 turn out of it. And it comes into play tapped. So even if you could give it haste, it wouldn't matter. So 7 mana for a 10/10 that you can only use for basically 1 turn. So I'm thinking if you're in Gruul, if you got like a Stalking Vengeance or a Warstorm Surge, this is okay. Because Stalking Vengeance deals damage to an opponent whenever a creature you control dies, equal to that power. Warstorm Surge is whenever it enters, equal to the power, it deals damage. But I don't think this is worth a slot otherwise. What do you guys think?
If you are playing a Swamp Thing art-themed deck, this is the card for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all I had.
That's all you had yet. Nick, you got anything for this?
Nope. I sure don't.
All right. Last card, Colin. You have the honor.
Yes.
Of doing
with
this amazing card.
Serpent. 4 blue Nemesis rare. It's a serpent, which is awesome. 3 and a blue, return Sliptide Serpent to its owner's hands. It's a 4/4 for 6 that you can return for 4. So there are 40, excluding any changelings, serpents in Magic. It's not the worst serpent for Serpent Tribal. No. You could do worse. Something like Slyn Voda, if that's your commander. Slyn Voda is insanely expensive. I'd rather play like Leviathans and Krakens rather than this. Slyn Voda, I made a note here, is like one of the commanders I wish had partner. Like that would have been cool in Commander Legends because it's just so expensive. It's like so ridiculously expensive. So Serpent Tribal. This is also the winner of the second best card from Nemesis rare budget cards that goes in your Baron Talarian Archmage to pay 4 mana to draw a card.
What an honor!
Yeah. I'll take Complex Automaton over Sliptide Serpent because you don't have to pay to return it back to your hand. You only have to pay to cast it.
I guess the only thing I could think of to do with this is if you wanted to play it in Emoti, where all of your spells to 6 CMC or more have Cascade. If you want to just, like, you know, bounce it at the end of somebody else's turn and then cast it on your turn. If you're, like, desperate for a spell to cast to trigger
Pay
Cascade,
10 mana to
you know,
Cascade into something.
I still wouldn't do that, but it is something you could do.
Yeah.
This is awkward. I have somebody at my door. I will be right back. Continue on.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I like the Emoti thing. I mean, it, like, giving your creature protection of some kind is nice, but even in Serpent Tribal, you could do worse, but you could do a lot better.
Yeah. 6 mana for 4/4, even with the ability to bounce it. That's not good stats and really not worth playing.
Yeah. So there's so few people in chat. Like, what is, for those of you who've joined us or listened to these cards, I would say, what is your card out of this set that you would play? Like, what's the number one card we went over tonight that is like, oh, I should put that in a deck? You could probably tell by my excitement that, like, Shrieking Mog is probably, like, the number one. This is finding a home and keeping a home. But I'd like to know your thoughts on that, Andy, also.
Was there anything in here that I was, like, really excited about? I don't think so. I mean, I like Death Pit Offering a lot, but I've already, that wasn't like I learned about it from doing this. Shauna says Death Pit Offering. Yep. It's a good card. So Nick, we're talking about like what are our favorite cards that we talked about tonight. I think Predator Flagship is a good card. I think.
What is Parallax Wave, you know, being like a blue landfall thing, that's pretty sweet. I kind of thought of that on the spot too.
You mean Parallax Tide?
Parallax, what did I say? Wave? Yeah, Tide, I mean. Tide is the cheaper one, Wave is the expensive one.
Mm-hmm.
What else? Yeah, Death Pit Offering, you know, I'm all about that too. It's a good card. Pack Hunt with the spy kit. That was a sweet find, Colin. I like that.
Yeah. Maybe. That's like the one thing I can do with spy kit.
Chris is asking if we talked about Rising Waters. Yes, we did.
Oh, did we?
Yes, we did.
And I called Chris out.
Yep.
It's a jerk card for jerk players. That's right.
Nice. All right, everybody. Thanks again. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit that subscribe button and hit the like button. It all helps us out to get more people watching. If you're watching here on Twitch, I'm sure you've all hit follow by now. But if you haven't,
ring that bell icon.
Go ahead.
Kids do.
Yeah, it doesn't cost you a thing. Thanks again, everybody. Remember, Black Lives Matter, trans rights are human rights.